everyone. I am going to demo a part of the bus delay analysis tool known as BDAT that Nelson Nygaard has developed. Specifically, I am going to be demoing the new project and treatment module, our demo application. So this is just a slice of what is in the full speed and reliability BDAT tool. So first, when you start, you need to select an agency. So I'm going to select TriMet, which is the transit agency based out of Portland, Oregon. And you have two options. You can create a new project or edit a project that has already been created. So a project is a collection of one or more speed and reliability treatments. So I'm going to start by creating a new project. And the first step is to select a route. So I'm going to select Route 44. And then we move to selecting a pattern. So we need to select a route and select a pattern so that we can just sort of whittle down the data to a specific geography of where the project will happen. So what is displayed on the map is a series of segments, which you'll be able to see a little bit more clearly shortly. And the segments are created from stop-to-stop GTFS data. So there's actually a lot of overlapping segments in this case. And so in order to kind of get rid of those overlapping segments, we need to filter them down by selecting a route and then selecting a pattern. It doesn't mean that the project or treatment that you create will only apply to that pattern. It's really just a way to select a geography. So in this case, you can see this is a southbound pattern. You can select from anything in this list, and there's two different directions, and you'll see if you flip between them, the arrows and the color will change. So I'm going to select that southbound pattern. And then we need to select our segments. So these are those stop-to-stop segments that I was referencing, and this has whittled them down so there's no overlapping ones. And the segments you select are the base geography for the project. They do not have to be, the project treatments do not have to be the full length of the segments. It's really just sort of like a starting point. So I'm going to select these here. And now we have an option to take a look at signals. So these are existing signals. We have developed a database of signals using OpenStreetMap for every agency that was on the list on the first screen. But we've done this because we found it challenging to get a full sort of accurate signal database from agencies, and especially for any agency or anywhere in the country that you might want signals from. OpenStreetMap is a really good resource because it has data for everywhere in it. But because signals can be a little bit tricky and it's a lot of data, we wanted to allow users to be able to edit them. So you can drag a signal, you can remove a signal, or you can add a new signal. So this is kind of what that looks like. If you know, hey, like this is just like a little bit off, like you could adjust the location of a signal. Or maybe you know that this signal actually was removed, or maybe it doesn't exist at all and this is inaccurate data. You can remove it. Or if you know that there's a signal that's missing, you can go ahead and add it. So let's just say we'll add one here. And the adding a signal in this case is adding an existing signal that already exists in real life. This is not proposing a new signal. That's sort of the next step. So we can save these, and when you save these to the database, it means that they will be available to you and other users later. So just make sure that anything you're saving you think is accurate. This probably is not, but for sake of demonstration, I will save these. So then we move into the actual treatment and project programming part of this. So we have two project types. One is conceptual and one is existing. So a conceptual project is a project where you're coding in treatments that are proposed or that you want to see what the potential benefit or cost would be. They're not projects or treatments that exist right now. And a existing project type would be treatments that already exist. So the agency has already created them, they exist in real life, and you're going to just record where they are. There's potentially two benefits to doing this. One would be if you're a transit agency and you have been working on creating a lot of speed and reliability improvements, and you want a way to kind of record that data in a consistent format. This would be one way that you could do that. You could go in and program those in and have that data recorded. Another potential benefit of recording treatments that already exist is if we have before and after data, and we can record those existing treatments, you can actually enter the date of when the treatment was implemented in the past, and that can actually help us estimate benefits for conceptual treatments. So it can help us build up a database of, in this particular transit agency, how does this type of treatment tend to fare? So it can help make the conceptual treatment benefit estimation more accurate. So I will go ahead and show what it looks like to code in a conceptual treatment. And treatments are part of projects. A project is a collection of one or more treatments. And we kind of created this format so that you can code in a number of treatments together that are related. Maybe it's TSP along a corridor, maybe it's an intersection treatment, or an intersection with a couple treatments that kind of go together, or maybe it's a couple spot locations with some treatments, and you can code it as one project. It kind of makes it easy to plug and play with projects with different scenarios, so that you can kind of experiment with how different collections of treatments might come out with costs and benefits, right? So we'll go ahead and code this one, which is going to be TSP in a transit-only lane on Vancouver Avenue. You can leave a description here. It says we'll get saved into the database and will be available to yourself and others later. I'm going to leave a great description here, and then directions. So I alluded to this earlier, but in this case, this is a southbound pattern. So the forward direction here is southbound, and the backward direction would be northbound. This is a one-way street, so we actually only have a forward direction, but that's okay. So you can actually change the name as well. So I'm going to rename this to southbound and rename this one to northbound. And these will get saved with your project. So we can go ahead and add a treatment, and you can select your treatment type. We have quite a number in here, kind of grouped in different categories that seem to make sense. And you need to select the geography of where this transit-only lane will be. We kind of move into this drawing panel here. So you have a couple different options for this type of treatment. You can select the segments where you want it to be. You can actually select all the segments if you know that it goes the full length. Or if you're doing this and you're like, hey, like this segment goes all the way to North Beach Street, but I actually think the transit-only lane should terminate at North Fremont, you can split the segment and then unselect the part that is not included. So the split here is really just splitting this for the purposes of drawing. It's not editing the underlying geometry, so you don't really need to worry about that. And then there's a number of other options. There's a treatment subtype and a costing type. These are really both related to costs. So when we take this data and do the benefit and cost estimation, we need to know sort of a little bit more information about the treatment itself in order to do that, and then we can generate both of those data points and a cost benefit ratio. You can set the direction. So in this case, like I said, it's a one-way street, so we'll only do a forward direction, but you could have it go both ways or go backwards. You can leave some notes for yourself. This is especially helpful with lanes or anything where, we're coding in the sort of extent of this, but maybe it's going to be it's going to be a center running transit-only lane or something like that. You might want to leave notes for yourself. In this case, I know we're going to remove 3 parking spaces and add TSP. So these are just notes. This doesn't actually create the treatments, but it can be helpful. And then we have a couple of hours options. You can select the operating hours. So this could be something that's 24 hours a day, or maybe it's only a transit-only lane during the peak hours. Or maybe it's 24 hours a day, but you're really only expecting to see a benefit during the peak hours. So you can remove time periods from this to remove that benefit. And then finally, we have a sort of default estimation based on the treatment type for what the benefit will be. So in this case, the unit is % of delay reduction. For other ones, it's like seconds or something like that. And so for a transit-only lane, the default is 70%. But maybe, you know, for your agency, you really never see anything higher than 50%. For a transit-only lane, you can adjust that. Or maybe in this particular location, for whatever reason, you're really not expecting to see something higher than like a 30% reduction. You can edit that. So we can save that, and then you will kind of get to see a summary of the information, and we'll see the treatment added on the map. So we can add another one, and we had said that we were going to do TSP and parking. So we're going to do the transit signal priority. So this is on existing signals, but we do have the option to, like, if you wanted to propose a new traffic signal, you can do that as well, maybe at like a four-way stop or something. But for this is an existing signal, and we need to select what signals this will be applied to. And this is actually the same data that we saw on the previous screen where we were editing the signals, and your edits will be available here. So you can select the signals. It does not have to be the full extent of the underlying segments, or the, you know, it doesn't have to match necessarily the other treatments that you put in this project. And we have a few options here. These are going to be different based on the treatment selected. So we'll say a minor TSP and similar like hours options. In this case, the delay reduction is in seconds. And then finally, we'll add parking removal. And let's see, maybe I know that we're going to remove parking at North Ivy. So you can place the point here. This is where that will be. And go back to your options. And actually, you'll notice here there's not a benefit slider. And I think that parking is, we're really only estimating that for costs because it's kind of like wrapped into, in this case, the transit-only lane, the benefit you would be seeing from that. Great. So now we have like a little chip here for each one of our treatments, and you can toggle between them, see a summary, and if you wanted to, you could edit or delete a particular treatment before you save the whole project. So just a reminder, this is the kind of the overall project. These are treatments, and then we can review that and see a table of what we've added, see everything on the map, and then we can go ahead and save it. So once you save this, it will go back into the database and will be available later at that starting kind of panel. You could select edit project and go back to it and make changes. But now we'll just kind of start back over if you want to select a new route, or you can start over and select an entirely new agency if you wanted to do that. Thanks so much for watching. We will add in the description for this video some links for more information and how to contact us if you're interested in learning more about this particular module, or in general, our speed and reliability tools and the bus delay analysis tool.